On the busy sidewalk of a luxurious avenue, a hungry girl was searching for coins to buy bread. Suddenly, an elegant man collapses in front of her, amidst screams and cell phones, ignored by everyone. But that invisible child kneels down and acts with the precision of someone born to save lives. If this beautiful story of overcoming and love interested you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tell us which city you're watching us from. The March sun scorched the asphalt of Fifth Avenue as Lily Thompson walked among the luxurious store windows, her small feet hurting in shoes that hadn't fit for months. At 8 years old, she carried on her shoulders a responsibility that even adults would struggle to bear. Her mother, Catherine, had left before dawn for her second job of the day, leaving only a few coins on the kitchen table and an affectionate note. "My love, buy some bread and study hard. Mom will be back tonight." Lily counted the coins for the third time, hoping the result would change by some miracle. $3.50, enough for half a loaf of bread and maybe a glass of milk. She tucked the money in the torn pocket of her faded blouse and continued walking, observing the world around her with eyes that seemed to see beyond her years. She stopped in front of Barnes & Noble, as she did every day. Through the window, she could see the colorful spines of the medical books she so desired: Atlas of Human Anatomy, Medical Physiology, First Aid, titles she had memorized, dreaming of the day she could browse through them at leisure. A security guard watched her suspiciously, but she already knew the schedules and when she could enter to take a peek without being kicked out. That day, however, something different happened before she even reached the bookstore. A sudden movement caught her attention. An elegant man, wearing an impeccable suit and shoes that gleamed under the sun, stumbled on his own leg and clutched his chest. His eyes widened with pain and desperation as he staggered toward the curb. Lily recognized that look. She had seen it in the illustrated books she secretly browsed at the public library. In the detailed descriptions of symptoms she memorized as if they were adventure stories. The man was having a myocardial infarction. His skin was starting to turn pale, beads of cold sweat formed on his forehead, and breathing became increasingly difficult. The crowd around reacted as always. Some stopped to look, others took out cell phones to record, many continued walking pretending not to see. A woman shouted, "Someone call an ambulance," but no one moved. Everyone waited for someone else to take the initiative, except Lily. Without thinking twice, she ran to the man who was now leaning against a lamppost, struggling to breathe. She wasn't a doctor, had no degree, hadn't attended a single formal medical class, but since she was 5, when she found her first medical book in the trash behind the public hospital, she had devoured every page, every diagram, every explanation about how the human body worked. "Sir, are you feeling chest pain?" she asked firmly, kneeling beside him. The man looked at her in surprise, a small child with old clothes and disheveled hair, speaking to him as if she were a professional. "Yes, it hurts a lot. I can't breathe properly." Lily quickly observed the symptoms: lips beginning to turn bluish, cold sweat, paleness, chest pain radiating to the left arm. All the signs she had studied in books were right there in front of her. He was her first real patient. "Does anyone have aspirin?" she shouted to the crowd forming around them. "I need aspirin now." A middle-aged woman approached, rummaging through her purse. "I have some, little girl, but aren't you too young to—" "Please give it to me," Lily interrupted, extending her hand with authority that didn't match her age. She took out a small improvised kit she always carried with her. Inside was a broken stethoscope she had fixed with electrical tape found on the street, some gauze she had taken from the health clinic, and a small bottle with expired medicine that a nurse had discarded. For Lily, these objects were her most precious treasures. "Sir, I'm going to place this pill under your tongue. Don't swallow it. Let it dissolve. It will help your heart," she said, positioning the aspirin correctly. "Now breathe with me, slowly. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale." The man obeyed, impressed by the confidence of this child. Lily placed the improvised stethoscope on his chest and listened carefully. His heartbeat was fast and irregular, but she could detect a slight improvement after the aspirin. "I'm going," To raise your upper body a bit to help circulation, she explained, helping him position himself better against the lamppost. Do you have a history of heart problems? Yes. I had a heart attack 2 years ago, the man muttered, each word costing an immense effort. The crowd watched in total silence. No one could believe what they were seeing. An 8-year-old girl conducting medical care as if she had decades of experience. Her small hands worked with precision, her voice conveying calm and confidence. Finally, the sound of the ambulance siren echoed down the avenue. Lily didn't leave the patient until the paramedics arrived. When they got out of the ambulance, they found an unusual scene. The man was stable, conscious with better coloration, and a girl in a patched school uniform was by his side, holding his hand. "What happened here?" asked one of the paramedics, a strong man named Robert. "Acute myocardial infarction," Lily replied naturally. "I administered aspirin sublingually approximately 15 minutes ago. Pulse was at 120 beats per minute. Now it's at 95. Blood pressure appears to be stabilizing. He has a prior cardiac history." Robert and his partner, Mark, exchanged incredulous looks. "Are you a medical student, little girl?" Lily lowered her eyes, feeling for the first time the inadequacy of the situation. "No, sir. I like to read about these things." The paramedics took over the care but couldn't stop looking at the girl. Everything she had done was correct. Each procedure, each medication, each clinical observation demonstrated knowledge that far surpassed her apparent age. As they prepared the man for transport, he gripped Lily's arm tightly. What is your name, my angel?" "Lily Thompson. Sir, I hope you feel better." "Lily," he repeated, committing the name to memory. "Thank you. You saved my life." She smiled, but her stomach growled loudly at that moment, reminding her that she hadn't eaten anything all day. The man noticed, and even in his weakened state, took a $50 bill from his suit pocket. "Buy some good food for yourself, okay?" Lily hesitated. Her mother had always taught her not to accept money from strangers, but she had also taught her that helping others was the most important thing in the world. "Thank you, sir. I promise I'll use it for something important." The ambulance departed, taking the man whose name she didn't even know. The crowd dispersed quickly as if nothing had happened. Lily was left alone on the sidewalk, holding the $50 bill and gathering her few improvised medical supplies. She walked to the nearest bakery and bought not just bread, but also ham, cheese, milk, and some fruit. For the first time in months, she would have a complete meal. But as she walked home, her mind was far from the food. She kept thinking about the man, the procedures she had performed, the unique feeling of having saved a life. She arrived at the small apartment she shared with her mother, 2 cramped rooms in an old building in the East Village. The walls were covered with notebook pages where she drew anatomical diagrams copied from library books. Her laboratory occupied a corner of the room, some jars with medicinal plants she grew on the windowsill, stacked books she found in the trash or received from acquaintances, and her handwritten notes on everything she learned. She sat at the kitchen table and opened one of the books. She wanted to review everything about heart attacks, to verify if she had done everything correctly. As she read, she made notes in an old notebook, comparing the symptoms in the book with what she had observed in her real patient. Hours later, she heard the key turning in the lock. Catherine came home from work, her feet aching and her face tired, but always with a smile for her daughter. She had worked all day as a cleaner in an office downtown and still had the night shift as an elder caregiver ahead of her. "Hi, my princess. How was your day?" Lily told her everything. The man getting sick, the procedures she performed, the money she received. Catherine listened in silence, divided between pride and concern. She knew her daughter had a special gift, but feared she would get involved in dangerous situations. "You did very well, Lily, but promise me you'll be careful. You're still very young." "I promise, Mom, but I couldn't let the man die there on the street. I knew how to help." Catherine hugged her daughter, feeling the weight of the responsibility of raising such a special child alone. From a very young age, Lily had shown uncommon intelligence. She taught herself to read at 4, mastered complex mathematical operations. At 6 and now at 8, already had medical knowledge that impressed adults. One day you'll be a real doctor, my daughter. You'll study at the best university and save many lives. Lily smiled, but she knew it was just a dream. Families like theirs didn't have money for universities. They could barely pay rent and buy food. Public high school would already be a challenge, let alone medical school. That night, after Catherine left for her night job, Lily stayed up studying by candlelight. The electricity had been cut off for 3 days, but that didn't stop her from learning. She leafed through a cardiology book, found in the hospital trash, absorbing every word, every image, every concept. She didn't know that on the other side of the city, the man she had saved was admitted to Mount Sinai Hospital, one of the most luxurious in New York. She also didn't know that man was Richard Bennett, one of the richest businessmen in the country, owner of a chain of private hospitals and a foundation that invested in social projects. Richard was conscious and stable, but couldn't stop thinking about the girl. There was something about her that had impressed him far beyond medical knowledge. It was the determination, the courage, the naturalness with which she took on a responsibility that even adults would fear to assume. In his 52 years of life, he had met many brilliant doctors, but had never seen anything like that. "Nurse," he called, when a professional entered to check his vital signs. "Yes, Mr. Bennett?" "The girl who helped me on the street. Do you know anything about her?" "Unfortunately not, sir. The paramedics mentioned it was a child, but we don't have any more information." Richard closed his eyes, but his mind was restless. He needed to find Lily Thompson. Not just out of gratitude, although he was immensely grateful. It was something bigger. He had recognized in her a rare talent, a vocation that couldn't be wasted, and he had the means to make a difference in that girl's life. The next morning, he hired a private investigation company. He wanted all the details about the girl who had saved his life on 5th Avenue. Full name, address, family situation, school history. He wouldn't rest until he found her. Meanwhile, Lily woke up once, again hungry, counting coins for breakfast. She couldn't imagine that her life was about to change forever, that those few minutes on the sidewalk had planted a seed that would blossom in ways she couldn't even imagine in her most audacious dreams. 3 days had passed since the incident on 5th Avenue, and Lily had resumed her usual routine. She woke up early, prepared a simple coffee when there were ingredients, and walked to the public library to spend the mornings reading. It was her refuge, the only place where she could immerse herself in medical books without being questioned or kicked out. This Thursday morning, she chose to sit in the medical sciences section at a small table near the window. She had discovered a new book on the shelf, Cardiac Emergencies, a practical manual. Its pages were still intact, unlike the old and scribbled books she usually found. Someone had recently donated it to the library. As she leafed through the chapter on acute myocardial infarction, a shadow covered her table. Lily looked up and saw an elegant woman, approximately 40 years old, wearing a navy blue suit and carrying a leather folder. Her eyes were kind, but there was something determined in her posture. "Excuse me, are you Lily Thompson?" asked the woman, sitting in the chair across from her. Lily immediately closed the book, her heart racing. When unknown adults asked for her name, it usually meant trouble. Perhaps someone had complained about her at the bookstore, or a neighbor had reported that she stayed home alone. Why?" she replied cautiously. The woman smiled, noticing the girl's nervousness. "My name is Dr. Emily Parker. I'm a cardiologist and I work for Mr. Richard Bennett. He would very much like to talk to you." The name meant nothing to Lily. "Richard Bennett? I don't know any Richard." "He's the man you helped on 5th Avenue on Monday. The gentleman who was feeling ill." Lily's eyes lit up. "Oh yes, how is he? Is everything okay?" Dr. Parker was impressed with the genuine concern in the girl's voice. "He's great, thanks to you. The doctors said that without your quick intervention, the situation could have been much more serious." "That's good," Lily sighed, relieved. "I was worried because he seemed really bad." Lily, Mr. Bennett would like to get to know you better. He was very impressed with your medical knowledge. Would it be possible for you to visit him at the hospital? The girl hesitated. Her mother had always taught her to be wary of strangers, especially when they offered things that seemed too good to be true. I need to ask my mum first. Of course, that's very sensible. Where does she work? We can talk to her. She has 3 jobs, Lily replied naturally, as if that was completely normal. In the morning, she cleans offices downtown. In the afternoon, she takes care of an elderly lady in the Upper East Side, and at night she's a caregiver at the St. Francis nursing home. Dr. Parker felt a tightness in her chest. An 8-year-old child alone all day while her mother worked so hard to support the family. And you stay alone all that time? Not alone. I have my books, said Lily, pointing to the pile of medical books on the table, and I come here to study. Mrs. Martha, the librarian, lets me stay until the end of the day. May I see what kind of things you study? Lily opened the book she was reading, showing a complex diagram of the human heart covered with handwritten notes. I'm learning about the different coronary arteries. Did you know that the left anterior descending artery is known as the widowmaker? Because when it gets blocked, it's more dangerous? Dr. Parker was speechless. The girl used correct medical terminology and demonstrated a deep understanding of concepts that medical students took years to master. Lily, where did you learn all this? From books. I started reading about medicine when I was 5. I found an anatomy atlas in the trash at the public hospital and was fascinated. Since then, I read everything I can find. And you understand everything you read? Most of the time, yes. When I don't understand a word, I write it down and ask the doctors at the health clinic. They find it funny when a little girl asks about electrocardiograms and troponins, but they always explain it to me. Dr. Parker was witnessing something extraordinary. In 15 years of medical career, she had never encountered a child. With such a natural aptitude for medicine, it wasn't just intelligence, it was pure vocation. Lily, would you like to be a doctor when you grow up? The girl lowered her eyes, and for the first time her confidence wavered. I would love to, but people like me don't become doctors. It's very expensive, very difficult. My mom can barely pay for our food. What if I told you there's a possibility? Lily looked at her suspiciously. What do you mean? Mr. Bennett owns several hospitals and a foundation that helps talented young people. He was very impressed with you and would like to discuss your future. Lily's heart raced. Could it be real? Or was it just another empty promise like so many she had heard before? Does he want to give me money? It's not quite like that. He wants to get to know you better first. Understand your dreams, talk to your mother. But I can guarantee one thing. He has a genuine interest in helping you. At that moment, Mrs. Martha, the librarian, approached the table. She was a 60-year-old woman who had taken Lily under her informal protection, allowing the girl to spend her days in the library and even bringing snacks sometimes. Lily, is everything okay? She asked, looking suspiciously at the elegant woman. Mrs. Martha, this is Dr. Parker. She works for the man I helped on Monday. Ah, yes. Lily told me about that. Very proud of her, said Mrs. Martha, but still cautious. What do you want? To talk to her about. Dr. Parker explained the situation, mentioned Richard Bennett and his intention to help Lily. Mrs. Martha knew the name. It was impossible to live in New York and not know the most prosperous businessman in the healthcare area. Is this really serious? Asked Mrs. Martha. Completely serious. Mr. Bennett is a man of integrity. His foundation has already helped hundreds of talented young people. Lily looked from one to the other, trying to process everything. Could it be that her life was about to change, that all those dreams she kept in her heart could become reality? When does he want to see me? She asked. Today, if possible, but first we need to talk to your mother. She won't be back from work until night. But I can call her at work. Dr. Parker smiled. Let's do that. I'm sure she'll want to know everything. They used the library phone to call Catherine at the office where she worked as a cleaner. The conversation was difficult. Catherine was suspicious, worried, but also hopeful. After many questions and explanations, she agreed to meet them at the hospital in the late afternoon. At 5 o'clock, Lily and Catherine arrived at Mount Sinai Hospital. Catherine had never entered such a luxurious hospital. The marble gleamed. There were works of art on the walls, and the reception looked like a five-star hotel. She felt intimidated, but held her daughter's hand firmly. Richard Bennett received them in his private room, which looked more like a hotel suite. He was sitting in an armchair, wearing a silk robe, looking healthy and with bright eyes. When he saw Lily, his face lit up. "My saving angel," he said, extending his arms. "Come here, let me get a good look at you." Lily approached timidly. Richard held her small, calloused hands, studying her face as if trying to memorize every detail. "You saved my life, do you know that? I just did what anyone would do, sir." "No, Lily. What you did was extraordinary. You have a rare gift, a talent that cannot be wasted." Catherine remained standing, nervous. "Mr. Bennett, I don't know how to thank you for what you've done for Lily, but—" "Please sit down," Richard gently interrupted. "I want you to feel at ease, and you can call me Richard." For the next hour, Richard talked with both of them. He asked about their lives, Lily's dreams, the financial challenges they faced. Catherine, initially fearful, gradually felt more confident. With the man's sincerity, "Lily," Richard finally said, "I would like to make a proposal. My foundation offers scholarships for exceptional young people. We want to give you a full scholarship to one of the best schools in New York, with everything paid for: tuition, materials, uniform, transportation, meals." Lily's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious. But there's more. We will also provide tutorial guidance with specialist doctors so you can continue learning about medicine in an appropriate way." Catherine started to cry. "Sir Richard, is this really real? Not a prank?" "Mrs. Thompson, it's real. And there's one more thing." Richard turned to Lily. "I want you to work as an assistant at my foundation on weekends. Nothing heavy, just observing, learning, helping with social projects. Of course, you will be adequately compensated." "How much?" asked Catherine, still suspicious. $2,000 a month." Silence filled the room. $2,000 was more than Catherine earned working 3 jobs. It was enough money to completely change their lives. "Why?" asked Lily. "Why do you want to do all this for me?" Richard smiled, remembering the moment on the sidewalk. "Because you showed me that there is still kindness in the world, and because wasting your talent would be a crime against humanity." Lily looked at her mother, who nodded through her tears. "I accept," she said firmly. "Great. We'll start on Monday. Dr. Parker will take care of all the details. School enrollment, uniform, school supplies, and Lily—" "Yes?" "Welcome to the family." When they left the hospital that night, Lily and Catherine walked through the streets of New York as if in a dream. Their lives had completely changed in a matter of hours. The girl who had woken up that morning worried about getting money for lunch now had her academic future guaranteed and a unique opportunity to fulfill her greatest dreams. 6 months had passed since that day that changed everything, and Lily barely recognized her own life. St. Charles Academy, one of the most prestigious institutions in New York, had become her second home. Her classmates initially looked at her with curiosity, a girl from a humble background, talking about medicine with the authority of someone much older. That September morning, Lily walked through the school corridors with her books clutched to her chest, wearing the impeccable uniform that still made her smile every time she looked in the mirror. It wasn't just the new clothes, it was what they represented. Opportunities, future, dreams that now seemed attainable. "Lily!" called a voice behind her. It was Madison, her classmate and daughter of a renowned doctor. In the first few months, Madison had been cold and distant, but they gradually developed a genuine friendship. "Did you see the biology test grades?" "Not yet, why?" "You got a perfect score again. The teacher said your analysis of the cardiovascular system was the best she's ever seen from a middle school student." Lily blushed. She still wasn't used to compliments or being the center of attention. "It was just luck. I read a lot about the subject. Luck nothing, said Madison, laughing. My dad comments at home that you know more about medicine than some residents at his hospital. The two entered the classroom where the biology teacher, Dr. Carmen, was waiting for them with a smile. Carmen had become one of Lily's biggest supporters, impressed not only by her intelligence, but by her dedication and humility. Lily, I need to talk to you after class. I have an interesting proposal. Chartese. Morning, Lily wondered what it could be. After lunch in the cafeteria, it was still surreal for her to have complete and nutritious meals guaranteed. She sought out the teacher in her office. Sit down, Lily. I want to talk about a unique opportunity. The girl sat down, attentive. New. York General Hospital is offering a special program for gifted young people interested in medicine. It's an observation internship on weekends where you could accompany real doctors in their care. I immediately thought of you. Lily's eyes sparkled. Really? Could I really accompany real doctors? More than that, you would have access to specialized libraries, laboratories, and participate in clinical case discussions. Of course, always as an observer, but it would be an incredible experience. And Mr. Bennett, I work at his foundation on weekends. I already talked to Dr. Parker. They think it would be fantastic for your training. In fact, Mr. Bennett himself suggested that you could apply what you learn there to the foundation's social projects. Lily could barely contain her excitement. Since childhood, she had dreamed of knowing a hospital from the inside, seeing how doctors really worked, understanding in practice everything she read in books. When does it start? Next Saturday. But Lily, I have to warn you, it will be a very different environment from what you're used to. You'll see difficult situations, patients in serious condition. Are you sure you're prepared? I'm sure, teacher. It's what I want most in life, and that Saturday, Lily arrived at New York General Hospital at 6 in the morning, wearing a small white coat that Richard had specially made for her. Her name was embroidered on the pocket. Lily Thompson, student observer. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. Dr. Michael Roberts, a 40-year-old cardiologist, would be her mentor. When he met her, he was skeptical. She was very young, very small to be there. But Richard Bennett had personally asked him to give the girl a chance. Good morning, Lily. Ready to learn about real medicine? Ready, doctor. Let's start with the morning rounds. We have 12 patients admitted to cardiology. I want you to observe everything, ask questions, but remember, you're here to learn, not to intervene. They entered the first room. A 70-year-old woman was connected to various devices, having difficulty breathing. Dr. Roberts examined her carefully, checked the monitors, spoke gently with her. What's your diagnosis, Mrs. Johnson? Congestive. Heart failure, doctor, but I'm feeling a little better today. Great, we'll adjust your medication. Leaving the room, Dr. Roberts turned to Lily. So, what did you observe? The lady presents peripheral edema, slight cyanosis around the lips, slightly labored breathing even at rest. The monitors showed elevated heart rate, stage 3 congestive heart failure probably. Dr. Roberts stopped walking. How did you come to that conclusion? From the clinical signs. And from the history I heard the nurse mentioning, she had 2 previous heart attacks, which may have compromised ventricular function. The doctor looked at her with an incredulous expression. Lily, are you sure you're only 8 years old? She laughed. 9, doctor. I had a birthday last month. 9 years old and diagnosing patients with resident-level accuracy. This is extraordinary. They visited 11 more patients. In each room, Lily absorbed every detail, every symptom, every treatment. She asked intelligent questions, offered pertinent observations, demonstrated genuine compassion for the patients. In the case discussion room, Dr. Roberts presented a complex case to the medical team. A 50-year-old man with atypical chest, pain, inconclusive tests, uncertain diagnosis. Does anyone have suggestions? He asked the residents. Lily timidly raised her hand. May I give my opinion, doctor? Some residents chuckled quietly. A child giving a medical opinion. Dr. Roberts signaled for her to continue. From what you described, It could be atypical. Acute coronary syndrome. In diabetic patients, heart attacks sometimes present differently. I would suggest checking ultrasensitive troponin levels and doing a stress echocardiogram. Silence took over the room. It was exactly the approach Dr. Roberts had planned to adopt, but none of the residents had suggested. "Lily is correct," he finally said, "and that's exactly what we did. The patient did indeed have acute coronary syndrome masked by diabetes." Residents looked at Lily with a mixture of amazement and respect. A 9-year-old girl had correctly diagnosed a case they couldn't figure out. After that day, Lily's reputation spread throughout the hospital. Doctors came to talk with her. Nurses called her to show interesting cases. Even the clinical director wanted to meet her personally. But for Lily, the most important thing wasn't the recognition. It was the growing certainty that she had found her place in the world. Each patient she met, each diagnosis she helped understand, each life she saw being saved reinforced her conviction that she was born to be a doctor. On Saturday afternoons, she went to the Richard Bennett Foundation, where she applied everything she learned at the hospital to social projects. She helped train community health workers, participated in prevention campaigns in underprivileged communities, taught first aid to children in public schools. Richard observed everything from a distance with growing paternal pride. Lily wasn't just intelligent, she was generous, empathetic, determined. She was becoming exactly the kind of doctor the world needed. One afternoon, after a particularly intense day at the hospital, Lily was sitting in the foundation's garden, making notes in her notebook. Richard approached and sat beside her. "How was the hospital today?" "Amazing, as always. I learned about complex arrhythmias and watched an angioplasty. Isn't it too much? You're still a child." Lily looked at him seriously. "Richard, can I ask you a question?" "Of course." "Why are you doing all this for me? Really? It can't just be gratitude for what happened on the street." Richard was silent for a moment, choosing his words. "You know, Lily, when you helped me that day, it wasn't just my life that changed. It was my perspective on what really matters." "What do you mean?" "I spent my whole life accumulating money, building hospitals, thinking I was making a difference. But you, an 8-year-old girl with no resources, saved my life with pure knowledge, genuine vocation, and courage that even experienced doctors don't have." Lily listened in silence. "I realized I had been investing in the wrong place. Buildings and equipment are important, but what really saves lives are people like you, people with real vocation, with genuine compassion. And now my mission has changed. I want to find and train young people like you, doctors who have as much knowledge as heart." Lily smiled. "Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for showing me the right path." That night, when she got home, Catherine noticed something different about her daughter. There was a new maturity in her eyes, a confidence that wasn't there before. "How was your day, my princess?" "Mom, today I saved a life." Catherine stopped what she was doing. "What do you mean?" "A lady was having a severe allergic reaction at the hospital. The doctors weren't able to identify it quickly, but I remembered a similar case I had read about in a book. I suggested they check if she had taken any new medication, and we discovered it was an allergy to the contrast from the exam she had done." "My goodness, Mum, I was born for this, I'm sure now." Catherine hugged her daughter, emotional. Her little girl was growing up, becoming the extraordinary person she always knew she would be. And for the first time since Lily was born, she wasn't worried about the future. She knew her daughter had found her path. 5 years had passed like a dream. Lily, now 14, had become an extraordinary young woman who impressed everyone around her. She finished middle school with exceptional grades and was already in her sophomore year of high school, 2 years ahead of her age. Her reputation at New York General Hospital had grown so much that doctors from other departments asked for her opinion on complex cases. That April morning, Lily walked through the hospital corridors with the confidence of someone who belonged there. Her coat now bore the title Junior Research Assistant, a position created especially for her by Richard. At 14, She had already co-authored 3 medical articles published in specialized journals. "Good morning, Dr. Lilly," greeted nurse. Lucy, using the affectionate title that everyone in the hospital had adopted, even knowing she wasn't yet qualified. "Good morning, Lucy. How are our ICU patients?" "Mr. Roberts, the one with complex arrhythmia that you helped diagnose last week, is much better. Want to see him?" Lily smiled. It was always comforting to follow the positive evolution of patients. She entered the ICU, where she found Dr. Michael analyzing some tests. "Lily, perfect timing. I need your opinion on this case." Over the years, Dr. Michael had become more than a mentor. He was a friend and collaborator. Initially skeptical about a child in the hospital environment, he was now one of the biggest advocates for Lily's talent. 62-year-old woman, chest pain for 3 days, normal cardiac tests, but something bothers me, he explained, showing the results. Lily carefully analyzed the data. "Dr. Michael, did they check for pulmonary embolism?" "The symptoms are atypical for heart disease, but the patient's age and history of sedentary lifestyle." "Excellent reasoning. I've already ordered a pulmonary CT angiography." It was moments like these that confirmed to Lily she had made the right choice. Medicine wasn't just her future profession, it was her passion, her deepest vocation. After the hospital, as every Saturday, she went to the Richard Bennett Foundation. Over the last 5 years, the foundation had grown exponentially. What had begun as a small project was now one of the most respected charitable institutions in America, with medical centers in 12 cities and training programs that had already benefited thousands of young people. Lily had become an integral part of the foundation. Besides her weekend work, she actively participated in strategic planning, scholarship selection, and the development of new programs. Richard used to say she was his most trusted right hand. That afternoon, she found Richard in his office, analyzing the month's reports. At 57, he was healthier than ever, thanks to the rigorous medical care he had adopted after the heart attack. But Lily noticed something different in his expression, a concern he was trying to hide. "Everything okay, Richard? You seem thoughtful." He looked up from the papers and smiled, but Lily knew that forced smile. "Lily, I need to talk to you about something important. Sit down." She settled into the armchair across from his desk, feeling that something significant was about to happen. "You know you can always talk to me about anything." "Yes, I know. Richard, just say it. You're making me worried." He took a deep breath. "Lily, you've grown up before my eyes. From a brave 8-year-old girl, you've become an extraordinary young woman who makes me proud every day." "Thank you, but where are you going with this?" "In recent months, I've noticed that my feelings for you have changed." Lily felt her heart race. She had also noticed that something was different between them, but didn't know how to interpret it. "What do you mean, changed?" "Lily, I love you. Not just as a mentor, not just as an adoptive father. I've fallen in love with you, with the incredible woman you've become." Silence filled the office. Lily processed the words, trying to understand her own feelings. In recent years, she had also noticed that her admiration for Richard had evolved into something deeper. "Richard, I know it's complicated. I know people will judge, will question the age difference, our history, but I can no longer deny what I feel." Lily stood up and walked to the window, observing the movement of the city below. "You think I don't feel the same?" Richard was surprised. "You do?" She turned to face him. "Of course I do. For months I've been trying to understand why I get anxious to see you, why your opinion is the most important to me, why I smile when you smile. And now that you know? Now I know that I love you too, but we have to be realistic about this." Richard approached her. "Realistic how?" "You're 43 years older than me. I'm still a minor. People will say you took advantage of the situation, that you manipulated me." "And do you believe that?" Lily looked into his eyes, those same eyes that had viewed her with admiration since the first day. "No. I know you would never do anything to harm me, but I can't ignore how the world will react. So what do we do?" "We wait." We wait until I turn 18, until I graduate, until I become independent. If we still feel the same, if it still makes sense, then we can think about it." Richard smiled, impressed with her maturity. "You're right, as always." Until then, we continue as we've always been, mentor and pupil, work partners, friends. "Friends who love each other," he gently corrected. "Friends who love each other," she agreed. In the months that followed, they maintained their professional and personal relationship as always, but there was a new tension in the air. Glances that lasted a few seconds longer, smiles that carried hidden meanings, an emotional intimacy that grew day by day. Lily devoted herself even more to her studies, determined to become independent as quickly as possible. She finished high school at 15, applied to medical school at 3 universities, and was accepted with top marks at all of them. She chose Columbia University Medical School, the most prestigious in the country. On the day of her high school graduation, Richard was in the audience, applauding proudly when Lily was called as the class valedictorian. She climbed onto the stage wearing a blue gown, her long hair tied in an elegant bun, and began her speech. "Dear colleagues, teachers, and family members, when I began my academic journey 7 years ago, I was just a girl with an impossible dream. Today I see that there are no impossible dreams. There are only people who give up too soon." In the audience, Catherine cried with emotion. Her daughter, who once collected books from the trash, was now giving the official speech as class valedictorian. "I want to especially thank 2 people. My mother, Catherine Thompson, who taught me that work dignifies and that we should never be ashamed of our origins, and Mr. Richard Bennett, who believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself." Richard felt his chest tighten with emotion. That girl had become the most important person in his life. "Today I embark on a new journey, medical school. I promise to use all the knowledge I acquire to serve those who need it most. And I promise never to forget that knowledge without compassion heals no one." When she came down from the stage, Lily was surrounded by classmates, teachers, and family members, but her eyes searched for Richard. When she found him, he was smiling with tears in his eyes. That night, during the graduation party, Richard approached her during a slow song. "May I have this dance, doctor?" She laughed. "I'm not a doctor yet, but I accept the dance." As they danced among other couples around, he whispered in her ear, "I'm very proud of you. Thank you for never giving up on me. I would never give up. You're the most special person I've ever met." Lily felt her heart race. Only 3 years until she turned 18. 3 years to become a doctor, to establish herself professionally, to be able to make her own choices without anyone questioning them. "Richard," she whispered. "Yes?" 3 years go by quickly. He smiled, understanding perfectly what she meant. They'll fly by. And they did. During the next 3 years, Lily stood out in medical school like no one had ever done before. At 16, she was already participating in surgeries as an assistant, publishing research in international journals, and giving lectures at medical congresses. Richard accompanied her in each achievement, with growing pride and ever deeper love. They continued working together at the foundation, which had become the largest charitable institution in America in the healthcare area. On the eve of Lily's 18th birthday, they were alone in the foundation office, reviewing plans for a new medical center in Boston. "Tomorrow you turn 18, said Richard, without raising his eyes from the papers. "Yes." Finally. "Will anything change?" Lily stopped writing and looked at him. "What do you think will change?" "I hope everything changes," she smiled. "I hope so too." The next day, Richard was waiting for Lily with a proposal that would change their lives forever. But before that, she had a surprise for him that he would never imagine. Lily's 18th birthday dawned with a clear blue sky over New York. She woke up in the apartment she now shared with her mother in the Upper East Side, an achievement that still moved her. Catherine had stopped working 3 jobs and now dedicated herself to helping with the foundation's administration, a position that Richard had created especially for her. On that special morning, Lily looked at herself in the mirror and saw a young woman of 18, graduated from medical school with honors, about to begin her medical residency in cardiology at New York General Hospital. It was hard to believe the journey she had taken from that 8-year-old girl who collected coins on the street. Her phone rang. It was Richard. "Good morning, birthday girl. How does it feel to be officially an adult?" His voice still made her heart race. "Strange, but good. And you, how do you feel knowing that now I can make my own decisions?" "Anxious," he admitted, laughing. "Very anxious. Shall we meet at the hospital as usual?" "Actually, today I want to show you something different. Can you meet me at the foundation at 2 in the afternoon? Of course, anything special? You'll see." Lily spent the morning at the hospital, accompanying Dr. Michael on his consultations. At 18, she was already treated by fellow doctors as an equal, despite technically still being in medical school. Her reputation had spread throughout America, the young prodigy who diagnosed complex cases and had revolutionized various treatments. "Lily," said Dr. Michael during the break between consultations, "I need to tell you something." "What is it?" "I received an offer from Johns Hopkins. They want me to take you with me for a special cardiology program. It would be a unique opportunity." Lily was silent. Johns Hopkins was one of the most prestigious hospitals in the world. It was the kind of opportunity any doctor would dream of having. "It's a tempting offer, Dr. Michael, but you don't seem excited." "It's not that I'm not excited, it's that my life is here, my work at the foundation, my family, and Richard," he completed, smiling. Lily blushed. "Is it that obvious?" "To those who know you two, yes. The way he looks at you, how you're different when he's around. Everyone at the hospital knows there's something special between you. And what do they think? That you're perfect for each other. Richard is a man of integrity. You're an extraordinary woman. Age is just a number when it comes to soulmates." At 2 in the afternoon, Lily arrived at the foundation headquarters. Richard was waiting for her in the reception, wearing a navy blue suit that enhanced his eyes. At 60, he remained an attractive and imposing man. "Ready for your surprise?" he asked, offering her his arm. "More than ready." They left the building and got into a black limousine that Lily had never seen before. "Richard, where are we going?" "Patience. You'll love it." 40 minutes later, they arrived at a rural property on the outskirts of New York. It was a huge plot of land with a modern construction in progress. Lily got out of the car, intrigued. "What is this place?" "Come, I'll show you." They walked to an imposing sign at the entrance of the construction, Lily Thompson Center of Medical Excellence, training doctors for the future. Lily stopped, speechless. "This is a medical training center that will bear your name, the most modern in the country, state-of-the-art simulators, research laboratories, residences for underprivileged students, all inspired by you, a story, your values." Tears began to roll down Lily's face. "Richard, this is incredible, but why?" "Because you've changed my life in so many ways that I can't even count, and because I want your story to inspire thousands of other young people." They walked through the grounds while Richard explained every detail of the project. There would be full scholarships for low-income youth, mentoring programs, international exchanges. It was everything Lily had always dreamed of being able to offer the world. "There's one more thing," said Richard, when they reached a lookout with a view of the entire property. "More?" "Richard, this is already too much." "Not for you." He knelt before her and took a small velvet box from his pocket. "Lily Thompson, will you marry me?" The world stopped. Lily looked at the man who had transformed her life, who had believed in her when no one else did, who loved her with all the sincerity of his heart. "Richard, I know they'll question, they'll judge, they'll say it's strange, but I don't care what they'll say. I only care about what you feel. And do you know what I feel? I hope you feel the same as I do. True love, companionship, the desire to build something beautiful together." Lily knelt in front of him, getting to the same height. "Richard, before I answer, I need to tell you something." "Anything." "Dr. Michael offered me a position at Johns Hopkins. In Baltimore. Richard's expression changed. And you want to go? Part of me wants to. It's the opportunity of my professional life. Then you should go. But the most important part of me wants to stay here, wants to build our foundation, wants to marry you, wants to start a family. Richard's eyes filled with tears. Are you sure? Absolutely. My answer is yes, Richard. Yes, I want to marry you. He placed the ring on her finger, an elegant and discreet solitaire, exactly the way she would like. There's one more surprise, he said, standing up and pulling her by the hand. Even more? They walked to a reserved area of the property, where there was a small, already finished construction. Richard opened the door and revealed a fully equipped medical office. This will be your private practice, for when you want to see patients outside the hospital. Lily explored the environment. There was state-of-the-art equipment, a complete medical library, and a desk with an engraved plaque. Dr. Lily Bennett Thompson, cardiologist. Bennett Thompson? She asked, smiling. I thought it would sound nice, but if you prefer to keep just Thompson, no. Lily Bennett Thompson sounds perfect. They embraced in the middle of the office, planning a future that seemed like a dream. But Lily still had one last surprise for Richard. Now it's my turn. To give you a surprise, she said, separating from the embrace. You've already given me the best surprise possible by accepting to marry me. So no, there's one more thing. She took a deep breath, nervous. Richard, I'm pregnant. Total silence. Richard looked at her as if he hadn't understood. What do you mean, pregnant? I found out yesterday. I'm 6 weeks along. But when? How? Lily blushed. Remember the inauguration party for the Boston Medical Center 2 months ago, when you brought me home and we stayed up talking late? One thing led to another, and we got carried away, he completed, remembering that night. I'm afraid of your reaction. I know it wasn't in our plans. Richard interrupted her with a deep and passionate kiss. Lily, I'm happy, very happy. We're going to have a child. Are you sure? Won't it interfere with our plans? It will accelerate our plans. I want us to get married as soon as possible. I want this child to be born to married parents. Lily laughed, relieved. The press will have a field day with this story. Let them. What matters is that we're happy, and we're going to form a beautiful family. That night they had dinner at home with Catherine, who was ecstatic with the 2 pieces of news. First the engagement, then the pregnancy. It was too much happiness to process at once. My daughter is getting married and giving me a grandchild, she repeated, hugging Lily. I never thought I'd see this day. Mom, aren't you shocked by the age difference? Catherine looked at Richard with affection. This man saved our family, Lily. He truly loves you, respects you, helped you grow. Age is just a number when love is true. Richard was moved by Catherine's words. Over all those years, she had become like a mother to him, too. Mrs. Thompson, I promise I'll take care of Lily and our baby with all the love I have. I know, my son, I know. They spent the night making plans. The wedding would be in 3 months, enough time to organize everything discreetly. They wanted an intimate ceremony, just for close family and friends. The press had been speculating for years about the relationship between them, but now they would have to face the spotlight head-on. Richard, said Lily before they said goodbye, are you sure you're prepared for all the judgment we're going to face? Lily, 10 years ago you saved my life on the street. Since then, you save my life every day, in different ways. If people want to judge our love, that's their problem. I only care about our happiness. The following week, the engagement announcement came out discreetly in the newspaper. As Richard had predicted, the reaction was immediate and intense. Some journalists questioned the age difference, others speculated about the intentions of both. But to the surprise of many, most of the public opinion was positive. Lily's story had touched millions of Americans over the years. The prodigy girl who came out of poverty to become one of the most respected doctors in the country was seen as an example of overcoming. And Richard, known for his philanthropy and integrity, was respected in the business community. Dr. Michael was one of the first to publicly congratulate them. "I've known them both for years. They are exceptional people who complement each other perfectly. They have my full approval and my congratulations." The New York Medical Association issued a note of support, highlighting the contributions of both to American medicine. Even some politicians spoke positively about the couple. But not everything was rosy. Some tabloids published sensationalist articles questioning whether Richard had taken advantage of Lily's vulnerable situation when she was a minor. Others insinuated that she was marrying for financial interest. Lily was hurt by some criticism, but Richard reassured her. "Love people who don't know us will always have opinions. What matters is that we know the truth, that our love is genuine and our relationship is based on mutual respect." 2 weeks after the engagement announcement, Lily was in her office, at the foundation, when she received an unexpected call. "Dr. Thompson, this is from the production of the Today Show on NBC. We would like to invite you and Mr. Bennett for an interview." Lily hesitated. They had never given interviews about their personal life, only about medical and philanthropic work. "May I ask what the interview would be about?" "We want you to tell your love story, from the first meeting until now. All of America is curious to know the details." After talking with Richard, they decided to accept. It was an opportunity to tell their version of the story and clarify the misunderstandings circulating in the media. The recording was scheduled for a week before the wedding. In the NBC studio, Lily and Richard sat side by side, holding hands, ready to share their intimacy with millions of Americans. "Lily," began the host, "let's start at the beginning. How did you meet?" Lily took a deep breath. "It was 10 years ago on Fifth Avenue. Richard was feeling ill, having a heart attack, and I helped him. You were 8 years old. How did a child know what to do in such a serious medical situation?" "I had always been passionate about medicine. I read books I found in the trash, studied on my own. When I saw Richard in distress, I simply did what I thought was right." "Richard," continued the host, "what was your first impression of her?" "I was impressed not just with the medical knowledge, but with the maturity and compassion. That small girl had a determination I had never seen in anyone." "And when did you realize it was love?" Richard and Lily exchanged complicit glances. "For me," said Richard, "it was gradual. For years I saw Lily as an adoptive daughter. But when she reached 17, I realized my feelings had changed. She had become an extraordinary woman, and I fell in love with that woman." "Lily?" "It was also gradual for me. Richard was always my hero, my mentor. But in the last year I began to realize I felt something deeper, admiration transformed into love." "And the age difference was never an obstacle?" Lily responded firmly, "Love has no age. I'm 18, I'm a graduated doctor. I know exactly what I want from life. Richard respects me, supports me, helps me grow. That's much more important than numbers. Do you plan to have children?" The two smiled, exchanging a conspiratorial look. "Actually," said Lily, "we're already expecting our first child." The studio was silent for a few seconds before the host enthusiastically congratulated them. The interview aired on the Friday before the wedding and had record viewership. The sincerity and complicity of the couple won over even the most skeptical. On social media, hashtags like #ChangTrueLove and Lily and Richard were among the most commented topics in the country. The following Saturday, in an intimate ceremony in Tizundais, the chapel of the foundation itself, Lily Thompson married Richard Bennett. She was radiant in a simple white silk dress, he elegant in a classic tuxedo. Catherine cried with emotion in the front row, alongside Dr. Michael and other close friends. When the priest declared them husband and wife, Richard kissed Lily tenderly, while the guests applauded emotionally. It was the perfect ending to a story that had begun 10 years earlier, on a busy New York sidewalk with a brave girl and a man in need of help. 10 years had passed since the wedding that moved all of America. Lily, now 28, was at the peak of her medical career. Internationally recognized as one of the most brilliant cardiologists of her generation, she had revolutionized treatments and saved thousands of lives. But that September morning, her focus was on something much more special than any professional achievement. "Gabriel, come here, my love. We're going to be late for the inauguration," called Lily, fixing the small suit of her 9-year-old son, who was running around the garden of their home. Gabriel Bennett Thompson had inherited his mother's intelligence and his father's determination. At 9, he already showed interest in medicine, spending hours in Lily's office asking complex questions about the human heart. His bright eyes and mischievous smile were the family's joy. "Mom, why is today so important?" asked Gabriel, finally allowing his jacket to be buttoned. "Because today we're inaugurating the 10th medical center of our foundation, and this one is very special. It's the largest of all." "And will it have my name too?" Lily smiled. "Yes, it will. Bennett Thompson Family Medical Center. Your name will be there forever." Richard appeared at the bedroom door, impeccable in his navy blue suit. At 68, he remained an elegant and vigorous man. Late fatherhood had brought new energy to his life. "Are my 2 favorite people ready?" "Ready, Dad!" shouted Gabriel, running into his father's arms. Richard lifted him in the air, drawing laughter from the boy. "Today your grandmother Catherine will give the opening speech. She's very nervous." "Grandma Catherine always gets nervous, but then she does super well," replied Gabriel with the wisdom of a child who knew the adults around him well. The family headed to the inauguration site, a state-of-the-art medical complex in Brownsville, Brooklyn. It was the neighborhood where Lily and Catherine had lived during the most difficult years, before Richard entered their lives. Choosing that location for the Foundation's largest medical center had been a decision loaded with symbolism. When they arrived, hundreds of people had already gathered. Journalists, doctors, politicians, representatives from other foundations, and especially residents of the region who would benefit from the new center. Lily was moved to see so many children in the crowd, girls and boys who might have the same potential she had once had. Dr. Michael, now medical director of the foundation, approached the family. "Lily, everything's ready. The press wants a few words from you before the official ceremony." "Of course, Richard. Will you take Gabriel to see the facilities?" "Let's go, champ. I'll show you the most modern operating room in the country." Lily headed to the area reserved for the press, where dozens of microphones and cameras awaited her. Even after all these years, she was still surprised by the impact her story had. "Dr. Bennett," began a reporter from NBC, "how does it feel to inaugurate a medical center in the very neighborhood where you grew up?" "It's emotional and symbolic. I want the children of this region to know that it doesn't matter where you come from. What matters is where you want to go. If a girl like me could fulfill her dreams, they can too." "This is the 10th center of the foundation. What's the next goal?" "Our goal is to reach 50 centers across America by 2035. We want to democratize access to quality medicine and train a new generation of doctors committed to social work." "And how do you balance your medical career with motherhood and foundation management?" Lily smiled. "It's not easy, but I have the best partner in the world. Richard shares all responsibilities with me, and my son Gabriel already shows interest in participating in the Foundation's projects." After the press conference, the official ceremony began. The stage was decorated with white and blue flowers, the Foundation's official colors. A huge banner announced, "Bennett Thompson Family Medical Center, caring with love and excellence." Catherine took the stage first. At 63, she had transformed into a confident and articulate woman, very different from the shy cleaner of years past. As president of the Foundation's Social Council, she had become a respected voice in the fight for the rights of underprivileged communities. "My dear friends," she began with a firm voice, "today is a special day, not only for my family, but for all of us who believe in transformation through love and education." The audience applauded each phrase. 19 years ago, my daughter Lily saved a man's life on the street. She didn't know that gesture would change not only her life, but the lives of thousands of others. Because when we save a life, we create waves of good that spread forever. Lily wiped away a discreet tear. Her mother had become an inspiring speaker. This medical center will save lives, train doctors, give hope. That's what we do when we believe in each other. Thank you to everyone who made this dream a reality. Next, Richard took the floor. When I met Lily, she was an 8-year-old girl with a seemingly impossible dream. Today, she is one of the most respected doctors in the world, an exemplary mother, and my partner in everything in life. Gabriel watched proudly from the side of the stage. But what makes me most proud of Lily is not her titles or recognitions. It's that she never forgot where she came from and never stopped extending a hand to those in need. This center represents exactly that, medical excellence in service to all. Finally, Lily took the stage. The audience rose in a warm ovation. She took a deep breath, looking at the diverse crowd stretched out before her. Dear friends, when I was 8 years old and walked the streets of this neighborhood dreaming of being a doctor, I never imagined that one day I would be here inaugurating a hospital that bears my family's name. Her voice faltered slightly. But I learned that the most impossible dreams are the ones most worth pursuing. This center is not just a hospital, it's a symbol of hope for every child who thinks their dreams are too big. Gabriel waved to his mother, who smiled through her tears. I want to tell you about the moment that changed my life. I was on the sidewalk of Fifth Avenue, a hungry girl with no prospects. I saw a man feeling ill and thought, I can help. I didn't think if I was too young, if I didn't have a degree, if no one would take me seriously. I simply acted with my heart. The audience was in absolute silence. That's what this center represents. The courage to act, to care, to believe we can make a difference. Each doctor who graduates here, each life we save, each child we inspire will be an extension of that moment on the sidewalk. Tears now flowed freely down her face. Richard, my love, thank you for seeing in a poor girl the potential that even I didn't know I had. Mom, thank you for teaching me that work dignifies and that we should never be ashamed of our origins. Gabriel, my dear son, I hope you understand that all this work is to build a better world for you and your generation. Emotion took over all those present. Many were openly crying. I officially declare the Bennett Thompson Family Medical Center inaugurated. May it be a beacon of hope and healing for all who need it. The culminating moment came when Lily, Richard, Catherine, and Gabriel cut the inaugural ribbon together. The cameras captured the historic moment, 4 generations of a family united by love, determination, and the desire to serve others. After the ceremony, while the guests toured the facilities, the family gathered for a private moment in the medical center's garden. Gabriel played near a fountain, and the adults watched with tenderness. Lily, said Richard, do you have any idea of the impact we've made? Sometimes I stop to think and I'm impressed. It started with a girl trying to save a man on the street and turned into all this. And it will continue to grow, added Catherine. Gabriel already told me he wants to be a doctor like his mom. If he wants to, he'll have all our support, said Lily. But if he chooses another path, he'll be fine too. The important thing is that he's happy and makes a difference in the world. Richard hugged his wife. You know what moves me most about all this? What? That our story proves that true love can overcome any obstacle. Age, social background, prejudices, none of that matters when the feeling is genuine. And look where we've arrived, completed Lily, observing the medical complex that extended around them. From a sidewalk on Fifth Avenue to 10 medical centers. Across America. Gabriel approached running. Mom, Dad, can I operate on people's hearts yet? Everyone laughed. Not yet, my love, replied Lily, caressing her son's hair. But if you really want to be a doctor, I'll teach you everything I know. And I'll study a lot, a lot. I'm sure you will, champ, said Richard, lifting the boy. That afternoon, as the sun set over New York, the Bennett Thompson family walked back home. Lily looked one last time at the medical center they had just inaugurated and smiled. It was much more than a hospital. It was the materialization of a dream that had been born in the heart of a brave girl. Richard, she said, holding her husband's hand while Gabriel ran ahead, thank you for turning my impossible dream into reality. Thank you for saving my life and showing me the true meaning of love. And so the girl who once collected coins to buy bread had become one of the most influential women in America, not just for her medical genius, but for her infinite capacity to love and transform lives. Her story would continue to inspire future generations, proving that when vocation, opportunity, and love meet, miracles really do happen. Years later, Gabriel Bennett Thompson would follow in his parents' footsteps, becoming a doctor and continuing the family legacy. But that, dear listeners, is a story for another day. Dear listeners, we hope that the story of Lily and Richard has touched your hearts as much as it touched ours. A narrative that reminds us that true love transcends any barrier, and that the most impossible dreams can become reality when we have courage, determination, and people who believe in us. To continue this emotional journey with us, we've prepared a special playlist with equally captivating stories. Find it here by clicking to your left. If you were moved by this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave your like on the video. Every day we bring unique narratives that explore the beauty and complexity of humanity.